Welcome to Learnstroke. This is Daily News Leads. Without much delay, let's have a glimpse of the important articles from today's Hindu. The first one is on Afghan issue. Mullah Baradar set to head Taliban government in Afghanistan. Mullah Yaqub, Abbas Tainkazai to be senior members of new regime, says sources. So this is regarding Taliban's decision to form government in Afghanistan. Taliban co-founder Mullah Baradar will lead a new Afghan government that could be announced soon. Anti-Taliban fighters in Afghanistan's Panjshir Valley said on Friday they were battling to repulse heavy assaults as the Islamists seek to capture the last holdout province, defying their rule. So two important things. One is the new government that is being formed under Taliban. And the second one, the last province that is battling against Taliban is Panjshir Valley. So in the map, do locate where Panjshir Valley is. The second one on economy. Edible oil prices likely to ease by December, official. But government unlikely to reduce import duties, Food Secretary. So this is regarding the rising edible oil prices. Soaring edible oil prices are likely to soften by December as international commodity futures show a declining trend and along with the arrival of domestic oilseed crops. So even for your GS mains, you have an area called as distribution of food crops. So cropping pattern and crops cultivation in India is very important. So try to understand more about oilseeds production in India and how the import of edible oil has affected the India's trade deficit. There is another statement that says another reason is that many major oil producers are aggressively pursuing biofuel policies and diverting their edible oil crops for that purpose. So it's time to analyze how the diversion towards biofuel production has affected the prices of edible oil. Next article, important for your prelims. Footprints of 3 dinosaur species found in Thar Desert. Sands of Time, the giant finds in western Rajasthan are estimated to be 200 million years old. An interesting article that the desert in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer district has provided the footprints of the giant reptile dinosaur. The western part of the state which formed the seashore to the Tethys Ocean during the Mesozoic era. So it's time for you to learn more about the Tethys Ocean and the Mesozoic era. And they belong to 3 species of dinosaurs. The species that were identified are mentioned here. Have an understanding about it because you need not mug up it, but for the prelims, in case this question pops up, you should be identify whether this is the exact name of the species. You should have that level of understanding. The dinosaur species are considered to be of the theropod type with the distinguishing features of hollow bones and feet with 3 digits. So these are some important facts that you need to recollect for your prelims. So have a mindful reading of this article. Moving on to today's editorials, the first one is again from economy. An uneven uptick. GST revenue trends indicate the recovery is neither smooth nor fast. With gross revenues of rupees 1.12 lakh crore in August, the GST has now yielded over 1 lakh crore a month for almost a full year. A remarkable achievement indeed. The only blip in the past 11 months came in June, when takings fell below 93,000 crore rupees in the aftermath of the second COVID-19 wave that compelled mobility restrictions across states. Okay, so this is regarding the GST revenue in the last year. So as I said, whenever you read economy articles these days, be conscious enough to read that article in the premise of the COVID pandemic, because the COVID pandemic has seriously had its repercussions in the global economy and the Indian economy also. So be conscious enough to read economy articles with that perspective. The next 2 articles from the editorial are based on the Afghan issue. and that too when the Afghan issue is analyzed with respect to USA. The first one, certainly not the end of the road for the US. Even if the Afghan exit was disastrous for various reasons, to declare it as the demise of America is a misreading. As you all know, America has decided to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan, and that has invited widespread criticisms globally from various quarters. The future of Afghanistan is yet to be determined, but the debate has abruptly shifted to the future of the United States after its withdrawal from Afghanistan. And the writer has listed some of the benefits of the US presence. Even neighboring countries, including India, were strongly in favor of continuing the American presence. Pakistan played a double game of being a partner on the one hand and an adversary on the other. So, in addition to the analysis of America with respect to the Afghanistan issue, there are some agreements and deals that are mentioned in this article, and you need to understand them in detail. First one is the Paris Agreement, that is regarding climate, and next is the Iran nuclear deal. So try to understand more about the Paris Agreement on climate and the Iran nuclear deal. Definitely this article needs a serious reading, note down the points. It will definitely be helpful to understand the Afghanistan issue with a better perspective. Yet another article analyzing America's stand with respect to Afghanistan. Ending the forever, the US might not find it easy to resist the impulse to remake other nations. President Joe Biden has mounted a stiff defense of his position on pulling American troops and civilians out of Kabul, an operation widely regarded as botched and disastrous, vowing that the era of meddling the politics of other nations has ended. So this is again, as I said, America with respect to Afghanistan. So try to understand the Afghanistan issue from various quarters, from India's perspective, from Pakistan, China and Russia's perspective, from US's perspective, and after trying to understand the issue from a 360-degree perspective, make sure that you have an analysis and opinion of your own. The next article is good enough for a general reading, something related to COVID. Estimating the deaths due to COVID-19 in Chennai. Undercounting of deaths due to COVID-19 in the city is age dependent and also more during the second wave. So they are referring something called as excess deaths. That is the difference between the actual figures and the official releases with regard to COVID deaths. So this article needs a general reading, but one important concept that finds a mention is ACD, or all cause deaths. So try to understand how the ACD is important from COVID point of view. An article that is important for your GS2 polity, that is Supreme Court Collegium recommends 68 names for High Court judges in one go. Strong message to resolve the problem of judicial vacancies with utmost priority. We have seen that the last week the Supreme Court appointed 9 judges, and now the Supreme Court Collegium has recommended 68 names for High Court judges. So this article is very important for your GS2 polity for 2 reasons. One is you should definitely try to understand what the collegium system is all about. That concept is extremely important from polity's perspective. Then for your prelims, there are certain high courts that have jurisdiction over one or more states and union territories. You should definitely prepare a list of such high courts that has jurisdiction over one or more union territories, because when questions come for the prelims, if you don't have a clear understanding regarding that, answering that question is going to be definitely confusing. The next article is good enough for a general reading. Restrictions, communication shutdown continue in Kashmir. The article has been written on the pretext that security tightened after the death of Saeed Ali Gilani. So just have a general reading, and when you read such articles related to Kashmir, any article related to Kashmir, try to make a note of the recent developments in Kashmir, because Kashmir issue is very important, be it for your mains or for your interview. You should have your own opinion in Kashmir issue. Next one, India-Russia friendship has stood test of time, says Modi. The India-Russia friendship has stood the test of time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserted on Friday, while virtually addressing the Far Eastern Economic Forum 2021, currently underway in the Russian port city of Vladivostok. So the first thing that you need to do is try to locate in the map where the Russian city of Vladivostok is located. Then you need to understand what the Eastern Economic Forum is all about, the participating nations, the various activities that are being undertaken by the forum. And UNSC Resolution 2593 finds a special mention in this article. So try to find out what the UNSC Resolution 2593 is all about. Then the article says that the importance of the health and pharmaceutical sectors in our bilateral cooperation. Energy is another major pillar of our strategic partnership. He noted and asserted that the India-Russia energy partnership could stabilize the global energy market. Mr. Modi announced that an energy and trade bridge from Vladivostok to Chennai was taking shape. So this is all about the various strategic areas of operation and the bilateral relations between India and Russia, an article that is extremely important from the IR perspective. So while reading this article, you need to understand two more things, that you need to find out which all are the Eurasian countries and the Pacific Rim countries. These two are very important, Eurasian countries and Pacific Rim countries. In the map, try to locate them and try to understand various strategic, bilateral and maritime operations with India. Next one, a small article but important for two reasons. Respond to pleas of NDTV promoters, Supreme Court. So this article, though the issue is not that important for your exam perspective, there is a mention regarding SEBI, or the Security and Exchange Board of India. Then there is a mention about the Securities Appellate Tribunal, or SAT. So try to understand what SEBI and SAT is all about. Next one, IT rules framed to regulate unlawful content, says government. Restrictions may be imposed for the interest of the public. So the article says, Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules of 2021 to regulate publishers of news and current affairs on digital media and publishers of online curated content on over-the-top or OTT platforms from publishing unlawful content. So you can definitely analyze the article from a fundamental rights perspective, and this article specifically mentions Article 19 and Articles 19.2 and 19.6 of the fundamental rights. So read this article, find the analysis and form your own opinion. Yet another article on polity. Court concludes trial of 2008 Ahmedabad blast. 77 persons are accused in the attacks. Read the article, but towards the end you can see that they have mentioned Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, or the UAPA Act. Very, very important. Make note of that. The next one, Army concludes exercise with armored elements in Ladakh. India and China deployed tanks during last year's standoff. So this is regarding an army exercise with armored elements in the super high altitude area of Ladakh under the aegis of Leh-based 14 Corps. So you need to understand what the SHA that is mentioned in this article. Super high altitude area of Ladakh. Try to find out what it is and where it is located. And in the map, try to mark Chushul Range, then Pangong So Lake. Chushul Range and Pangong So Lake for map reading. An article for your prelims and for your GS3. India-US signed project agreement on air-launched UAV. India and the United States signed a project agreement on July 30 for an air-launched unmanned aerial vehicle, ALUAV. So this is as part of the Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, or DTTI. So you need to understand what the ALUAV is and DTTI. Next article for your prelims. Biological e-jab gets a note for trial among children. Corvax uses spike protein method. So this is very important from your prelims perspective. I have already asked you to try to find out the various COVID vaccines that are being distributed globally, and this is specifically regarding the COVID vaccine for children. Following Zycov-D by Zydus Cadila and Covaxin by Bharat Biotech, Corbevax becomes the third India-made vaccine that may be available for use in children. Zycov-D has already received authorization for emergency use in children who are over 12 years. So try to read more about Corbevax, and they have mentioned angiotensin converting enzyme 2, ACE2. Such facts may be asked for your prelims. Next article, important from environment and geography perspective. Experts flag diversion of fresh water from Brahmani river. High salinity could pose a threat to the mangroves in Odisha, they say. Environmentalists on Friday expressed concern over the massive diversion of fresh water from the Brahmani river basin, which could pose a grave threat to the famous mangrove vegetation in Odisha. So this is all about the mangroves. Mangroves from your geography is extremely important both for your environment and geography papers. Pitharkaniga, a notified Ramsar wetland. As said earlier, Ramsar sites are extremely important, and this article finds a mention about the Pitharkaniga, that is a notified Ramsar site. So in the map, try to locate Pitharkaniga, that's a Ramsar site, Brahmani river, Kharasrota river, and then the Talcher Angul coal mines. Try to locate all these in your map. The article also says that the Sundarbans mangrove forest was drastically affected after the Faraka barrage was commissioned. So this article clearly brings out various side effects of developmental activities on mangroves. Yet another article on the Afghan issue. Taliban battle for final holdout province. In Panjshir Valley, forces loyal to Ahmad Massoud are reportedly fighting to repulse heavy assaults. As I said earlier, in the map, try to locate where the Panjshir Valley is located. Next article, good enough for a general reading. Japan's PM Suga steps down, sets stage for new premier. His one-year tenure was marred by unpopular virus response. So, Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga is stepping back. So, good enough for a general reading. Next one. Over 23 Myanmar troops killed near China border, says rebels. So, for your exam, you should definitely have an understanding regarding the issues going on between China and Myanmar. This article highlights that. So, in addition to what is mentioned in this article, have detailed notes regarding the China-Myanmar issue and recent developments and issues going on there. So, the next two articles from Economy. PMI signals fastest rebound in services activity in 18 months. Output expands first time in 4 months. Rising consumer footfall boosts sales. So, in this article, two indices are mentioned. The first one, India Services Business Activity Index, and the second one, Purchasing Managers Index. The PMI or the Purchasing Managers Index is repeatedly appearing newspaper these days. So, take note of that, and in addition to that, India Services Business Activity Index. The next one, the last article for the day. FSDC asks regulators to keep steady vigil on financial sector. Council discusses financial stability, sector development. So, this is regarding a recent meeting of the Financial Stability and Development Council. Very important, the FSDC. Try to understand what are the activities, areas of operations of FSDC or the Financial Stability and Development Council. So, this article has highlighted some of the recent issues and developments in the economy. Take note of that, and this can be used anywhere in your mains paper in article relating to Indian economy. I'll mention few points. Financial stability, financial sector development, inter-regulatory coordination, financial literacy, financial inclusion, and macro-prudential supervision of the economy, including the functioning of large financial conglomerates. Such points are very relevant. Again, issues relating to management of stressed assets, strengthening institutional mechanism of financial stability analysis, framework for resolution of financial institutions, and issues related to the IBC. IBC is gaining popularity these days, so take note of that. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Banks' exposure to various sectors and government, data sharing mechanisms of government authorities, internationalization of the Indian rupee, and pension sector related issues. So these are some of the highlighted issues as far as the Indian economy is considered. Take note of that and use it for your GS economy and for your essay paper as well. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and this was Daily News Leads.